Donald Trump in hospital with serious concerns for his health. The president given a cocktail of experimental drugs to treat coronavirus. Plus, police ramp up patrols as the premier slams Melbourne beachgoers he says are putting lives at risk. Hotel quarantine workers paid millions to sit at home and do nothing. 7 News special investigation. Heroes pull a driver to safety after his car plunged into the water at Brighton. And the Saints march on into the finals as the Magpies take on the Eagles. Live coverage from inside Optus Stadium.
Live from Melbourne, 7 News with Mike Amor starts now.
Good evening. US President Donald Trump is tonight in hospital undergoing experimental treatment for COVID-19. It's unclear exactly how the 74-year-old contracted it, but a White House event without social distancing has come under intense scrutiny.
Emerging for the first time, an infected president.
Mr. President, how are you, sir?
Wearing a mask, a brief wave and a thumbs up as the leader of the free world is medevaced from the White House South Lawn.
Marine One making its way to Bethesda, Maryland, about to land at the hospital.
The fevered and fatigued presidential patient arriving 9 minutes later, touching down at the Walter Reed Military Hospital where he'll spend the next few days.
I think I'm doing very well, but we're going to make sure that things work out. The First Lady is doing very well. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. I will never forget it. Thank you.
Top aides rushing to reassure a shell-shocked nation.
He's had mild symptoms, but he is hard at work. We're having to slow him down a little bit.
The White House insisting there'll be no transfer of power, but waiting in the wings if needed. Vice President Mike Pence testing negative. He'll work from the hospital's purpose-built presidential office, helped by a cocktail of antibodies, including an experimental drug intended to boost the body's immune response. As the sun set on this historic day in Washington, Donald Trump wasn't at home with his family. His wife and First Lady Melania Trump remains in isolation, dealing with mild symptoms. Their son Barron testing negative. And for now at least, it appears that there is a truce in what has so far been a bitterly fought election campaign. Joe Biden testing negative after sharing a stage with him this week, back on the trail, but announcing he'd pulled his party's attack ads.
Sending my prayers for the health and safety of the First Lady and President of the United States.
Outside the White House, support grows, while inside, hard questions are being asked. Why did the president attend a New Jersey fundraiser after his close aide, Hope Hicks, had tested positive that day?
It was deemed safe for the president to go. He socially distanced.
No such precautions taken at this event last Saturday. The Rose Garden reception for the president's Supreme Court pick, now linked to at least 6 positive cases, including former councillor Kellyanne Conway, pictured here with the US Attorney General, and 2 Republican senators. The president's own campaign manager, Bill Stepien, late tonight, joining the list of infected, as the world's most talked about COVID-19 patient now runs the country from hospital.
Ashley Mullaney is at Walter Reed Hospital just outside Washington. And Ash, what's the president's condition tonight?
Yeah, good evening, Mike. We have heard from the president himself about his condition. He's been tweeting sent a tweet from the hospital saying that he is going well, I think. His physician sending out a letter also saying that he has started treatment with remdesivir, an antiviral drug, but that he hasn't required any oxygen. Now, his campaign, or the campaign calendar, I should say, has been turned upside down, completely turned on its head. And of course, as you'd expect, Donald Trump's diary has been cleared for tomorrow. The focus very much here at Walter Reed Hospital for what is now the most serious health threat to face a sitting president in decades. Mike?
Ashley Mullaney in the US, thank you. The Premier has revealed he called the police commissioner directly, demanding a crackdown on beachgoers breaking rules. They responded with a show of force today, making sure Melburnians enjoying the sun didn't put lives at risk.
At beaches across the city today, police on patrol on foot and horseback, looking for COVID breaches. A huge number of sun seekers at parks right across Melbourne, largely doing the right thing. Different to the confronting scenes at sunset at St Kilda last night. Dozens danced close together on the foreshore, many without masks.
I can tell you, I've got 3 young people in my household, and they were furious, just furious when they saw those scenes.
It's a bit of an insult to everyone who's done it tough for months and months and months across the state.
The Premier says it wasn't just young people, and most are obeying the law.
Those scenes were very disappointing. It's made a lot of people very angry. It's just not smart, and it's not fair, and it's not lawful.
Fines were handed out, but police wouldn't say how many.
I've spoken with the Chief Commissioner, and Victoria Police are out there today, and they will be out there throughout the weekend to make sure that people are doing the right thing.
Victoria recorded 3 more deaths in their 80s and 90s and linked to aged care, and 8 new cases. Our 2-week rolling average now down to 12. And it's been revealed the cluster at Chadstone, centred around a butcher, has spread from staff to customers. Less than a month ago, Victoria had 1,781 active cases. Today, just 241. Relief now so close for Victoria as other countries face the frightening reality of their second wave.
Europe will be wearing masks for the foreseeable future. Maybe a year, maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years. We can move to a point where we don't have to wear masks. We're not there yet, but we're very close.
We've got to defeat this second wave, and the only way to do that is to keep following the rules for just a few more weeks.
Paul Dowsley, 7 News.
And Blake Johnson is Bayside. And Blake, there are big crowds again tonight, but police have just made an arrest.
Mike, police have just taken a man away after a brief scuffle with officers right next to Republica Bar here at St Kilda. It was sparked when a police car driving down the boardwalk was punched by someone. Officers stopped the car, got out, were quickly surrounded by the crowd, and from what witnesses tell us, they got that man down on the ground and arrested him very quickly. Other than that, it's been much calmer tonight than what we saw last night. From the air, you can see those picnic circles that are popping up right around town have been very popular down here at St Kilda Beach, and for the most part, have done what they need to keep the crowds separated, safely socially distanced. The City of Port Phillip says it will have no hesitation in closing its beaches if we see a repeat of the behaviour last night. The council's CEO telling me he is extremely disappointed in that kind of behaviour with so many people breaching COVID-19 restrictions. Daylight saving starts tonight. It's another warm one tomorrow. You can expect to see more big crowds and more police here tomorrow. Mike?
OK, Blake, thank you. Grounded airline staff are tonight lifting the lid on money-for-nothing jobs in Melbourne's troubled quarantine hotel program. The state government has admitted it's paying more than $7 million a month for full-time workers to sit at home.
They were pitched to the public as the saviours of hotel quarantine. Instead, the government has paid them millions without working a day.
No one understands safety protocols and dynamic environments and the need to always go by the book than those who work in our aviation sector.
In July, international flights had stopped and the government recruitment frenzy was in full flight. Angry airline whistleblowers have told 7 News cabin crew were hired after one phone call. They only completed 1 4-hour training day and started getting paid full-time wages to do nothing.
You want to be able to resume flights and you want to be able to do it in the safest possible terms, then you need to have a workforce on standby, you need to have arrangements in place.
You've got hundreds of thousands of Victorians who have lost their jobs, and to think that people are literally getting paid money for nothing, it's not just a waste, it's an outrage.
An internal ad shown to 7 News spruiks rates for team leaders as $50 per hour plus super, and support officer roles paid at $42 an hour, both contracted for 40-hour weeks. That means staff sitting at home waiting for the hotel quarantine reset are earning a minimum of $6,500 a month. Across the 1,350 airline staff employed, that's more than $20 million. 7 News understands the airline staff hired to work in the hotel quarantine program were required to sign contracts which included a gag order. It prevents them from talking about the program and any details of their employment. All the while, the ADF remains on standby to do the same job for free. Chanel Vella, 7 News.
Residents at Little River say they're too scared to go to the shops, fearing they'll be hit with a $5,000 fine. The town's divided by coronavirus restrictions and crying out for help.
At Little River, this stream's causing a great community divide. It separates two council areas, one regional, the other metropolitan, where residents are still stuck under harsh coronavirus restrictions.
Well, they should make it one community and change the code to the Geelong one.
Dan should see country people for what they are.
Caught in the middle are frustrated locals, like Jacqueline Toland, whose property is isolated. She has no choice but to cross into the regional postcode for essentials like the post office, risking a $5,000 fine.
Frustration of not knowing if we could go to the shops because we don't have supermarkets nearby.
A fortnight ago, they pleaded with the Premier to be rezoned. A petition has close to 2,000 signatures. There hasn't been a coronavirus case in the area for 3 weeks.
I know that matter was sent off to Victoria Police and to the Public Health team to have a think about that, given its unique status, but I don't have an answer.
The problems for Little River locals are unlikely to end when restrictions ease. The Premier has flagged extending the ban on regional travel to keep coronavirus out of country Victoria, leaving rezoning the only viable option. Jodie Lee, 7 News.
Up next, heroes risked their lives to save a drowning man, plus fears of a catastrophic failure. Torquay residents evacuated as a dam threatens to burst. The rescue operation to free a trapped driver, and James Bond becomes the latest victim of coronavirus. There's been a dramatic rescue off Brighton. A car plunged off the jetty and into the water just before 10 o'clock this morning. Beachgoers quickly jumped in to help the driver. After a few minutes, they were able to pull him out and bring him safely back to the beach. The driver is receiving medical treatment. A large-scale emergency response is underway with more than 100 Surf Coast residents forced to evacuate their homes. A nearby dam is on the brink of collapse, with fears it could cause mass flooding.
180 megalitres of water becomes a ticking time bomb just metres from homes. Fearing it's on the brink of collapse, emergency crews began evacuating residents at 2 o'clock this morning.
It does come out. It will cause a lot of damage to the properties and potentially kill some people if they were dragged away.
Daniel Moore started to notice damage to his property over the past few days.
Yeah, things got serious last night with SES crews and everyone, and it was watch this space for a few hours and out we went.
The father of 3 returned to collect more belongings before yet another night away from home.
It could only be for a night, or it could be for a week, or it could be not allowed back in at all. Who knows?
Angie Earnshaw and her family left first thing this morning.
They came at 2:30 and said, yes, you have to go, so pack what we can in a short time and just leave our brand new house to the gods.
The high transmission pumps will work into the night to drain 150 megalitres of dam water, so even if the leak continues, residents and their homes won't be affected. Authorities are confident water levels will drop to a safe level by tomorrow afternoon. They're still investigating what's caused the leak. Cassie Zervos, 7 News.
There's been a delicate rescue operation to free a driver who became trapped after a car crash. His sedan smashed into a power pole in Yallambie around 9:30 last night. The driver and a male passenger suffered non-life-threatening injuries. They've been taken to hospital for treatment. James Bond fans will have to wait until next year to see the latest 007 film because of the pandemic. The release of No Time to Die has been pushed back until April 2021, a year after it was meant to hit cinemas. A string of other summer blockbusters are also in doubt, including a new Pixar film, Wonder Woman sequel, and Marvel film Black Widow. Jackie Felgate's here with sport, and I love this story. The Saints are marching on in.
Mike, it was an absolute thriller. They've booked a date with the Tigers after taking down the Dogs, but a star defender is in hot water. We're live to the Gabba next. Also, changing stripes, a new Tiger in action as the Stars come out to see a big cat chasing a recall. And LeBron James and the Lakers close in on NBA history. Welcome back. St Kilda has survived an almighty scare from the Bulldogs, holding off a late comeback to book a semi-final showdown with Richmond. The Saints got home by 3 points, but they have major injury and match review worries.
A finals win 9 years in the making. The Saints are going to hang on. Devastation for the Dogs. The Saints made to sweat, but with their first finals victory in a decade. Ben Long made an early statement.
Top McRae got crunched. Oh, he got smashed by Long.
Jack McRae shook off the heavy hit, which is sure to keep the match review busy. Max King with a sign of things to come.
Step between 3 Dogs, never took his eye off the footy.
The pressure at fever pitch for two teams with everything to play for. The Dogs dialed in with a 5-point lead at the first change, but as the Brisbane sun set, a young Saint rose to the occasion.
Falls near the goal square. Max King! King has 2, and the Saints have got the lead back.
Paddy Ryder curled the Saints 7 points up at half-time. The Dogs a man down after an ankle injury to Zane Cordy. St Kilda's talls dominating in the air, Luke Beveridge seemingly with no answers as the Saints march to a 4-goal lead.
Here's Butler, gets away from Gardner, straight through the middle.
But the Dogs refuse to go away. Aaron Norton suddenly a factor up forward as the Sons of the West made a dramatic late charge.
Feeds it up to Liberatore. Quick snap over the shoulder. Liberatore! Dogs are still barking!
And when the smallest man in the game was taken high, the impossible was on the cards.
The little man in the helmet. He makes no mistake. It's a 3-point ball game.
But it wasn't to be. Season over for the Dogs. A date with the Tigers for Brett Ratton and the Saints. Andrew McCormack, 7 News.
Tom Brown is inside the Gabba. Hello, Tom. The Saints are daring to dream.
Jack, they certainly are tonight. Emotional scenes here on the boundary just moments ago. Brett Ratton embracing Ruffy. It was fantastic. But emotional scenes for Paddy Ryder at the end. It looks like he suffered a leg injury. He was one of the Saints' best. I got an update from St Kilda a short time ago just then on Ryder and Brett Ratton's message to the boys post-game.
Yeah, I guess he just spoke to us in the change rooms and couldn't be happier. Obviously, from that last quarter, there's a few things we need to work on. But before that, the first 3 quarters were pretty good. And I think it gives us a lot of confidence going forward.
It sets up a clash next week, most likely at Metricon, which is where there was a star-studded practice match today, including Port, Geelong and Richmond. Jack Stephen, it appeared he pulled up with a hamstring injury or potential one at the end of the third quarter. Broad and Caddy mounting a strong case to return for the Tigers. And Jack, the latest on Joel Selwood tonight, the captain. He spent overnight in a Brisbane hospital, was discharged this morning. The operation was on his knuckle, not his tendon, and they're optimistic that Selwood's optimistic, he'll play next week, Jack.
Great to hear. Tom Brown at Gabba, thank you. Collingwood players are out of quarantine and primed for tonight's elimination final against the Eagles. Rory Campbell is inside Perth's Optus Stadium. Good evening, Rory. We're expecting the biggest crowd of the season there tonight.
We certainly are, Jack. The game is a sellout. 35,000 people are allowed in. That does include stadium staff, so probably looking at around the crowd of 32,000 if everyone with a ticket does arrive. That would make it the biggest crowd anywhere in the country this season and possibly around the world in sports since COVID hit. Fair to say the majority of them will be wearing blue and gold, but Collingwood does have a healthy fan base here in Perth, so they will have some support. Of course, the club has been in a hard 7-day quarantine lockdown since they've been here in Perth. In contrast, the Eagles are coming out of a 2-week quarantine. The Geelong sure to be watching on with intent tonight. They play tonight's winner. Jack?
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Rory. Richmond coach Damien Hardwick has taken a shot at the lack of discipline from his players. The Lions got under their skin to snap a 15-game losing streak against the Tigers, who gave away 3 50-metre penalties.
Got to get better in that part of the game. You know, every now and then it rears its ugly head, and unfortunately it's on the big stage, so really disappointing.
The Southern Stars have won their 19th straight one-dayer. Victorian teenager Annabelle Sutherland snared a wicket on debut to restrict New Zealand to 180. Meg Lanning did the damage with the bat, smashing an unbeaten 62. The Aussies winning by 7 wickets. Chris Waller's Very Elegant has shot to Caulfield Cup favouritism with an impressive win in the Group 1 Turnbull Stakes over 2,000 metres. Earlier, Persen booked a spot in the Melbourne Cup, winning the Bart Cummings. And the Lakers are 2 wins away from claiming the NBA championship. Their 2 superstars dominated Game 2 against Miami. LeBron James put up 33 points while Anthony Davis had 32.
Inside Davis for the slam.
124-114 the final score. LA lead the series 2-0. Game kicks off straight after the news. The Pies and the Eagles, Mike.
I'm still bruised from last night. And all my mates that sent me messages. Thanks. Melina is next with the forecast. Mel, how's the rest of the weekend looking?
Well, Mike, warm again tomorrow before rain with a cold change in the evening. I'll have all those details next. Welcome back. We've had beautiful warm sunshine with gusty northerly winds. The city made it to 29 degrees and it'll be another warm night. It is still 27 out there right now. A severe weather warning is in place for damaging winds this evening. A low pressure trough over Western Victoria will stay put until Sunday afternoon when it moves rapidly east. It should clear the state early on Monday as a cold change sweeps in behind it. So in Victoria tomorrow, moderate gusty northerly winds will shift cooler southerly later in the day. But before the change, we will see temperatures in the 20s and 30s again. Rain in the southwest corner will extend across the state during the afternoon and evening. So it'll be warm and partly cloudy across the suburbs. That rain is expected to arrive in the evening with a cold change as well. In the city, 17 degrees overnight before a top of 28. Winds will ease and we can expect that rain to arrive in the evening. That rain will continue on Monday morning and it is much colder, 14 degrees, dry and partly cloudy on Tuesday. Then showers return on Wednesday and continue on Thursday. And just a reminder to wind our clocks forward an hour tonight for daylight saving. Mike?
Good reminder. Thanks, Mel. And that's 7 News to now. Let's head to Optus Stadium in Perth for tonight's big elimination final between Collingwood and West Coast. For now, have a great night.